Hello and welcome to the Love Reading Lit Fest. This afternoon we have a real treat in store for any picture book aficionados out there because we have the very great fortune to be joined by author and illustrator Jon Agee. In America, he is a multi-million selling award-winning author of over 30 picture books. But here in the UK, we're only just becoming familiar with his books. You can see some of the lovely ones behind me, thanks to the brilliant Sarah Pakenham and Scallywag Press. Today, we're going to be talking to Jon about his new book, My Rhinoceros, which is coming out on October the 6th. Hello, Jon.
Hi, everybody.
And we are also joined today by two brand new reading ambassadors, Eve and Annie. Hello, Eve and Annie.
Hello.
Eve is 9 years old and a total bookworm. Her favourite types of books are fantasy novels, but she also loves trying out new topics. When she's not reading, Eve loves drawing and is often inspired by her reading to write her own stories. Annie is Eve's younger sister and is just 7. Recently had a birthday, so I hear.
Yeah.
Was it good?
Yeah.
Annie loves funny books and interesting non-fiction books too. She enjoys visiting her school library and her favourite author is Michael Rosen. Annie also loves gymnastics and football. Now, Annie and Eve have told me they're both still huge fans of picture books. And I think we can all agree that you're never too old to appreciate the wit and wisdom that you can find in them. And I know that Jon's books in particular have been well-established favourites for them. And I'm sure they're going to want to talk to you about some of your other titles as well. But before we get down to these questions, I wanted to tell everyone a little bit more about Jon. He grew up in Nyack, if that's how you pronounce it.
Yes. Yeah.
Nyack, New York, just up the road from the Hudson River. As a child, he always had an art project on the go. He made picture books, comics, and as a 10-year-old living in England, flip books out of London tube ticket stubs. Sounds incredible. His fascination with language and wordplay has also led him to publish 4 collections of palindromes, and most recently, a graphic novel written completely in palindromes. Otto, a palindrama, which I can't wait to see. I hope that crosses the Atlantic. Jon lives with his wife Audrey in San Francisco. In his spare time, he doodles, writes tongue twisters, anagrams, and poems, as well as visiting schools across the country and sometimes across the globe. Indeed, we're very much looking forward to you coming to the UK in October. That's right, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to very much. Yeah. Coming soon.
Brilliant. Now, I thought what would be a good start for, and the girls agreed, is if Jon can read his new book to us, because it's always such a treat to hear an author read the words as they wanted them to be delivered.
Right. Shall I do that now?
Yes, please.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, you know the book. My Rhinoceros. I'm going to take the jacket off. See, my edition has this jacket. And then has this little image of the rhino right here. You know, this book, it came from a doodle. I always have to, I can't help it. I have to show how the idea for this story started. Most of my ideas start from just drawing something on paper. Usually I draw a person, usually it's a child. So I drew a picture of a little boy. There he is. Had a little cap on, and he was walking, and he had a leash behind him. And when I write a story, I sometimes wonder, like, okay, what I ask myself questions like, what is at the end of a leash? Usually it's a dog, right? But when I write stories, I try and think of something unique and different. So I thought, what if right? What if instead of a dog, he had something unusual? So I just drew a rhinoceros. You know, he was walking along with his That's kind of what a rhinoceros looks like, right? So he was walking to, and I don't know where he was walking, but he was walking, and I thought, okay, what would happen if you had a rhinoceros as a pet? You know, so that's how this story began. Here's how it goes. Let's see if you can see everything. So here he is in front of a pet store. It says exotic pets. That's pretty exotic, that rhinoceros. That's as exotic as it can get, right? So you walk in, and there's up here, there's this sign right there. It says the hippopotamus is out back. It's so big, there's no room for the hippopotamus in the store. And right here it says, where is it? Right there. All sales final. You can't return your pet. There's a flamingo, there's a toucan, there's a lizard, some monkeys. So, as you can tell, he wants the rhinoceros in the window. So as he leaves, he says, when I bought my rhinoceros, I didn't really know what I was getting into. You know, he seems, where is he? Let's see. Oh, here we go, right there. He seems pretty, he doesn't know what he's getting into, right? He's no expression on his face. Okay, he gets home. He was a nice animal, quiet, shy. He stayed in the yard, kept to himself. You see, there he is, just quiet rhinoceros, very sleepy.
Mhm.
After a couple days, I noticed that my rhinoceros wouldn't chase a ball. Fetch, he's saying, or a stick. Fetch, he says, or a frisbee. Come on. The rhinoceros just watches the frisbee go by. And then he didn't roll over. He didn't do anything. Now the little boy is really upset, you see. I like this page a lot. So he called a rhinoceros expert. Look at this rhinoceros expert. There she is. He says, she said, does your rhinoceros yank on his leash? And the boy says, no. Does he chase other rhinoceroses? No. Does he poop on the rug? No. And she says, so what's the, here she's, I like this lady. She says, so what's the problem? He says, she doesn't do anything. And she says, well, actually, a rhinoceros does two things. They either pop balloons or poke holes in kites. Now the boy thinks, pop balloons, poke holes in kites, that's ridiculous. You know, but then he thinks, uh-oh, wait a second. What if I go to the park and there's a guy selling balloons? My rhinoceros might go crazy. He might attack the guy with balloons. I could get in trouble, right? But he goes to the park and there's a guy selling balloons and nothing happens. But then he thinks, but what if somebody's flying a kite? My rhinoceros might, attack this little girl flying a kite. Well, turns out there are lots of children flying kites, but nothing happened. My rhinoceros didn't pop balloons. He didn't even poke holes in kites. Oh, now he's getting really upset. He thinks, I began to wonder about my rhinoceros. Maybe he was a clunker. Maybe I should have bought that hippopotamus instead. You see the rhinoceros, he's just smelling the flowers, eating the grass. Look at all these dogs. They're more fun to be with than the rhinoceros, right? But this is where it gets interesting. On the way home from the park, I saw a robbery. A robbery was taking place. Now the robbers, they weren't getting away on a bicycle or in a car or a boat. No, one of the robbers was getting away in a balloon. The other was escaping in a nifty looking hang glider kite. Wow, and way down there you can see the little boy with his rhinoceros. That's okay. And people are running out of the bank saying, help, my money's been stolen. I have $5,422. And it's all gone. And this guy's He's snubbing his nose at the crowd. Look at him. He looked like a bad guy. He's saying, "See you later, alligator." Anyway, the robber in the balloon was taunting the crowd. He dropped the $1 bill and said, "Buy a peanut butter jelly sandwich on me," right? So he looks at his rhinoceros. He points to the guy in the balloon and says to the rhinoceros, "Pop." Well, to everybody's surprise, the rhinoceros leaps into the air like Superman. He's a very angry rhinoceros. And he swoops at the balloon with his tusk. Pop went the balloon, and down fell the robber. Don't worry, nobody was hurt in this children's book. In the middle of town, there was a fountain, and the robber fell into the fountain. See, now the boy sees the guy getting away in the kite, and he says to the rhinoceros, "Swoop over and poke a hole in that kite," and down fell the robber. See, those robbers are tough guys, but when they fall from the sky, their voices go very high. So everybody was amazed by my rhinoceros. See, he comes down for a nice soft landing. That must have been interesting. I would love to have seen a rhinoceros landing very softly right next to the little boy. And the chief of police comes running up to me and says, "Is this your rhinoceros?" "No," I said. "Well, you've got a real special one. He can pop balloons and poke holes in kites." "I know," I said. "And guess what else, officer? What else can he do? He can fly." And as he flies, and he waves goodbye to the crowd, and he's leaving, he passes over the town, and he passes over that pet store, and there's a hippopotamus in the window, and he says, what does he say? He says, "I don't think I'll buy a hippopotamus. I'd rather have a flying rhinoceros." There he goes. My rhinoceros. Yes. And it all started from a little drawing like that, and asking myself questions, thinking, what could a rhinoceros do with that pointy thing on their nose? All right.
Okay, girls, over to you. Who's going first?
Me.
Oh, well done, Annie.
Why do you often choose animals as the main character in your books?
That's a good question. Let's see. Well, there was an animal in. Did you ever read the book Terrific? Terrific's a story about a grumpy guy. Here's a grumpy guy. When you draw somebody who's grumpy, sometimes I look grumpy. There's a grumpy guy. I even make noises when I draw, just to try and get in the mood. Right there, he is, grumpy guy. He needs a shave too. There he goes. Okay, his name was Eugene, and he gets stranded on a deserted island. This little deserted. There's nobody else on this island except for Eugene, except for, this is to answer your question, except for a parrot. Okay, there's this parrot. There he is. There's a parrot on the tree. There. Okay. And Eugene says, he always says, terrific. What good is a parrot, right? Well, the parrot talks, and he says, well, actually, you'd be surprised. And the parrot shows Eugene how to build a boat. So they are able to build a boat and get off the island. There he is. There's the parrot on the boat, and they escape. So I don't know. I think the Eugene was kind of grumpy. The parrot was very upbeat. There was another one, the lion lessons. The lion lessons was different. The lion was very. He was like a teacher. He was saying, a very patient and thoughtful teacher. Was there another book that you thought of which had an animal? Oh, Stanley the dog. Stanley the dog. Yeah, that's a fun one, because the animals are often smarter than the human beings. It's funny because Stanley is the dog who's here he is. There's Stanley. He's very quiet. He's very quiet, but he's very, he does a lot of work. He's hammering something into the, there he is. Actually, he's a very serious dog. He never says a word. And the human beings think he's doing something good, like he's working on the house, he's fixing the boiler, he's fixing the television set, he's rewiring something. I don't know. He's doing work in the kitchen, but he's much more intelligent than they think he is. He's turning their house into a rocket ship. A rocket ship, which is, I don't know. I think it's funny when animals are funnier than human beings, or make human beings look kind of goofy. It doesn't hurt that the house that Stanley lives in with the Wimbledons, their name is Wimbledon, the house does actually look a lot like a rocket ship. Here are the windows, right? There you go. There. And so that's a perfect house to go up space. All right. I think
I'm going next. So your books are very funny and often involve animals doing human things. Where do you get your funny ideas from?
From drawing in my little books. Let's see if here's one there. I always keep a little notebook with me. Where's a recent one? Oh, I thought I had one. This one, yeah, let's see what I have in here. Here's some pictures in here. He's saying, I've had it up. He says, I've had it up to here. Me too. I've had it. How far have you had it? About here. You know when people say, I've had it up to here.
Yeah.
So, well, I've had it up to only about here. How about you? Oh, up to here. Oh, me, way up high. So I fill these books with cartoons. Oh, this keeps going. Only to here? That's hardly worth complaining about. So fill these up. Some of the cartoons turn into stories, but it's always, just drawing, and seeing where some of the drawings lead, And a lot of times I'm drawing animals. You're right. Yeah. Talking animals.
Talking animals.
But,
Rhinoceros is about exotic pets. What exotic pet would you choose, and do you have any real pets?
I have a real pet. She's over there. She's sleeping. She's a little dog. She looks like this. I can draw her. It's very easy to draw my dog because it's just a lot of squiggles. Okay. Here we go. Here's her nose, right? I won't take the pen off the piece of paper. That's her top of her head. That's her ear. And this is her little neck. That's her body. That's her little tail. That's her back leg. And that's her front leg. There she is. That's Charlotte. Yeah. Oh, her little nose drips, dog. When they're healthy, when a dog is healthy, their nose is wet, right? We're not healthy, our nose is wet. It's funny. We're not. That's why you can know we're not dogs. There we go. There's Charlotte. Yeah. She's 11 years, and she's not much bigger than that, by the way. She's just about, she's just a little bit bigger, but anyway. If I had a pet, an exotic pet myself, what kind of pet would I have? I kind of like a rhinoceros. I mean, I don't know if I don't have enough room for a rhinoceros. I think I'd need a lot more space, but I've always liked rhinoceroses. Yeah.
Yes, because I think one subject you maybe avoided in the book was rhinoceros poop. There must be quite a lot of it.
Yeah, I know. Picking up, cleaning up after your rhinoceros would be you'd need a dumpster,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, or a big hole in the backyard. Yeah.
In the incredible painting of Felix Clouseau, was the gallery based on a real gallery?
The gallery in Felix Clouseau, is that the question? It was not based on, oh yes, it was. Yeah. What am I saying? Yeah, that's true. Because back in the turn before the turn of the century, like we're talking about the 1800s, they used to have salons. They were, you know, shows in which, you know, paintings were hung up like this, all sorts of paintings, right, on top of each other, well, above and below each other, right? And then somebody would have, whoa, a very big painting, you know, and all these paintings, and all the people would be here, little, you know, tiny. It's some big tall ceilinged museum, right? And somebody would take their umbrella and say, I don't like that painting at all. And this is, oh, I like that one, very nice. Yeah. But when Felix shows his painting, it's the picture of the duck. And I figured that would be a funny story where all the other paintings are all the other painters are painting very large paintings of the king, you know. There he is. There's the king on his throne. There he is on his throne. And it would make Clouseau's picture look almost like an insult. How dare you, you know? So that was based on the art exhibits they had back in the 1800s.
So it's me again, and there's often an unexpected moment at the end of your books. For example, in It's Only Stanley, you can see the poodle on the TV that he meets on the moon at the end. How do you come up with the surprise endings?
Ooh, good question. It's lots of work. That's because a lot of my stories have very good beginnings, and I can't. And a lot of times the endings are the hardest thing to figure out. So. So what happens is I sometimes I'll take a book and I'll put it on a shelf, like, you know, over there, and I'll leave it for a while, and I'll come back and look at it again, and sometimes I can figure out how to end it. But the endings are just as important as the beginnings, you know. With Felix Clouseau, what made Felix Clouseau really a very fun ending is that you see in the end of the book he goes back to his painting, but the way I did the pictures is very tricky. You don't see it coming until you turn the page. Right.
I think that's what you meant by surprise, isn't it? That
surprise. You know, I want that. It's very important when you're turning a page in a book that there's something. Well, for example, here's a good example, and with My Rhinoceros, one of the more exciting pages here is right here when the boy says to the rhinoceros, "Pop." The big surprising page is when you turn the page over here. It's on the left-hand side. A lot of times the big surprises are on the left-hand side, because you wouldn't want this to be over on the right-hand side, because your eyes would be going over there and you wouldn't get a surprise. You want that big surprise always to be right here on the left-hand side. Let's see if there's another. Well, yeah, here's another one. The big page turn here is when the policeman says, you have a great rhinoceros. He can poke holes in kites and pop balloons. And the boy says, "Hey, and guess what else?" Right? You turn the page and you get the big surprise. Yeah. Sometimes the surprise is so big that you give it 2 pages. Yeah. And I really like the ending of this book, because the book is kind of over here, but you get one last little line, which I love, which is, you know what? I don't think I'm going to buy a hippopotamus after all. And I love the picture of the boy flying off with his rhinoceros. Now, I have no idea how the rhinoceros stays up in the air. People have asked me, I do not know. I don't know. But somehow it can fly.
Yeah.
Dumbo could fly, couldn't he? But I suppose Dumbo had the big ears.
He has the big ears, yeah. Good one.
Great question. Who's next?
You write and illustrate your books. What part do you enjoy the most?
Oh goodness, that's good. Such good questions. What do I enjoy the most? Well, you know what I do like the most, I have to say, is I like, drawing and doodling in my notebooks, in my notepads, even if none of these pictures turns into a book. And I have so many of these notepads of all different sizes that none of them turned into stories. But I love, I go back and look at them because there are lots of funny ideas, but they didn't turn into stories. So I love the process of, it's sort of like fishing, trying to pull in a big fish, you throw your rod out there and you let the hook go down there with the bait, you try and bring it in. That's kind of fun. You don't always catch the fish, but sometimes looking and finding that the whole process of doing it is lots of fun. Yeah.
So do you think it's the act of drawing that brings the ideas?
For me, it's definitely the act of drawing, and then there's lots of writing within the here some bigger notebooks. Let's see, what do we have in here? Okay, all right. I'm just randomly looking through a book here. Some funny images of let's see. Oh goodness. Well, I mean, I can just leaf through, and you can see these things. None of these things turned into books. But what's that? A kid on top of a moose. Here is somebody who's stuck in a cloud. And there she is on top of the cloud. She's looking, and then she sees all this stuff stuck in the top of the cloud, other things that are stuck up there. Not a book, but hear people who hear, they hear music up in the cloud coming from down. So somebody's playing music up there. Would you turn that music down up there? Somebody's going up to the cloud to tell them to turn the music down. Where is that picture right there? There's, let's see. Let me look through another one. Oh, interesting pictures. Oh, here's an image of this is a submarine story, a little submarine lost in Venice. It's not the yellow submarine, even though it does have a yellow. See it there?
Yeah.
There's the periscope, right? A little submarine, there it is. It's a story about a submarine. So some stories aren't even about human beings. Anyway, so there you go. Drawings, but then lots of writing, and then you see where it goes. Yeah.
Some of your books take place in space. What or why inspired you to write books set in space?
Okay. Well, that one that you remind me of is Life on Mars.
Yeah.
That was that was a story of a young astronaut who goes to Mars. And I did a bunch of drawings. The first drawings in my sketchbook for Mars were the young astronaut. Here he is, and he was in touch with the people back on Earth by radio, by walkie-talkie, right? He had his little, there he is, his spacesuit. Okay. And he was walking on Mars. Okay. There's this, and I had him, and I had him talking to the people on planet Earth, and they were saying, "So, have you seen anything yet?" And he said, "No, everything's nothing up here. I haven't seen a thing." "Well, let us know if you see anything." So he would keep saying, and they'd keep getting into, so anything new? What's going on up there on Mars? Seen any life? I said, no, not anything. And then I thought, wouldn't it be funny if like he doesn't see anything, but we, you and me and the reader, we see this creature watching him. But he keeps looking that way and he's on his, and then what I think what made that story really work was that he brings with him, and it's very nice. He brings a little gift that's a pack of this little box of chocolate cupcakes. And I thought that was the sweetest thing because, if you go to visit somebody at their home, sometimes you bring, a bottle of something or like a pie, you bake a pie or cookies or something. So he's going to another planet. So he's bringing a little gift, for hoping he'll meet somebody, but he never does. But he does find life. That was another fun part of this book because life takes on different forms. It can be that, or it can be, that. So he does succeed in finding life. And if somebody came back from Mars with a flower, it would be all over the news. It would be very big news. A flower, a beautiful Martian flower. Anyway.
But that's the sort of classic pantomime moment, isn't it? Where the audience is shouting, look behind you.
Look behind you.
Yeah.
Right.
Lovely.
So the next one is, what equipment do you use when you are illustrating your books? And do you do the pictures or the words first?
The words, I try to do the words first and lay out, how the words are going to appear from page to page, right? Because most picture books are about 32 pages. So you have 32 pages. And so you figure out, how you want the words to kind of, like I figured this is a good first line, 2 pages. And then this is a good second line, about the second section of words. So you kind of lay out the text and then you do the pictures. And sometimes you go back and forth. But there was another part to you. Oh, what material do I use to do pictures? I use paintbrushes and watercolor and poster paint or tempera paint? Do you have that kind of? It's not water. It's kind of in between watercolor and paper. I use pencils, colored pencils. Sometimes I use collage. Sometimes, yeah. Some things I do that are in my free time that are not about writing stories. They're just fun things for imagination to get your mind going. Like you'll take you fold a piece of paper, like this is a trophy, right? And then you unfold it, and it's somebody inside the trophy. But you do these. I make these little folded paper things where you draw a picture here, and then you unfold it, and it becomes something else. For example, let's see here. Here's like this would be an olive, picture of an olive, and you open it up, and you have to draw something inside. So, the olive would be an olive here, and then you open it up, and it's a dog, a green dog, a dog who's eaten too many olives. Here's another one. This is a hot dog or a sausage, and it turns into a dog. No, we know about it. But here's something that looks like a sausage, but it's not a sausage. Here's a heart, which turns into a pig. Here's one I like. A watermelon, very heavy, very heavy. Oh, heavy. But then when you open it up, it becomes very lightweight.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Come back, butterfly. There it goes. Here, let me show you my favorite of these. Oh, this is a funny one. This is a pine tree, a Christmas tree, and it becomes somebody's hair. There's, and this one is when you open this, you'll see it's a piece of cake, but when you open it, you'll see where the cake was made, and you'll see somebody flying a kite, and you'll see you'll see a man on a bicycle, a little dog, okay, all that. You see that?
Wow.
And cake.
Very clever.
So good.
So, yeah.
Like to do things like that, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do those. You fold, you can take a piece of paper, it's simple as this, take one piece of paper, fold it in half, right? Fold it, that's in half, and then fold one piece back. So now you have kind of a little, right, here we go, a door. Okay, so you draw your picture here, and then you fold it open, and it becomes longer, you see. Yeah. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun to make those. Oh yeah. Is there anything else? What was I doing? The other day I was doing these where you cut a hole in a piece of paper, and that's a clown, and then but there's a cut hole in the middle. So you open it up and it becomes, the red nose is Father Christmas. Yeah. What's this one here? This is a loud guy. He really needs to he needs to lie down near a tree. That's what he needs to be doing. See, there he is. That's where he should be. Take it easy, fella. Okay.
Brilliant.
The next one is the little boy in My Rhinoceros, Lion Lessons, and Life on Mars the same boy? And who inspired this character?
The boy in Life on Mars, he's kind of similar. You're right. It's true. I think he's different on Life on Mars. Well, because on Life on Mars, he's so confident. He says, I'm on Mars. I'm here to find life. I'm going to get it. She's so confident. He's whereas the other boys are a little like in Lion Lessons, he gets gets a little overwhelmed. He doesn't think he's going to become a lion. And then in My Rhinoceros, a little bit, yeah, actually they're all a little similar. You're right. They weren't the same boy. Maybe they look alike, but they do have some similarities. You're right. I hadn't thought of that.
So is there an inspiration for that, for the little boys?
Well,
is it you or?
Could be. I mean, it was my book. It's called "I Want a Dog." I think Scallywag. I'm pretty sure they published that too. Oh no, it's not out yet, but they did. It's coming out next year. And it was going to be a little boy goes to an animal shelter. He wants a dog. They have all these different kind of animals, but not a dog. And the guy who works at the animal shelter is trying to get this boy interested in an anteater, a baboon, a frog, and the boy keeps saying, no, but it's not a dog. I want a dog. Well, anyway, that was a boy. But then when I worked with my publisher, she said to me, John, would you mind changing the boy and making it a girl? And so I said, fine. So it's a girl. Yeah. So but she's very similar to the boys in her personality, but because she's very confident. Yeah.
She sounds like you girls.
Yes, exactly.
So I think we have one last one, do we?
Yeah. Who are your favorite authors?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, you have such good questions. Well, from England, one of my favorite authors in England is John Birmingham. You know John Birmingham? I have a bunch of his books in my shelf there. And his wife, Helen Oxenbury, another great writer, illustrator. In the United States, I like, there's you probably read John Klassen's I Want My Hat Back. I love those books. They're so fun. And I love the pictures too. And there's Christian Robinson, who's a wonderful illustrator. I'm missing. There's a really beautiful book by her last name is Campagna. Beatrice Campagna. No, Alemania. Beatrice Alemania, right.
Yeah.
And it's called Things That Go Away. It's a beautiful book, Things That Go Away. And it's a very simple book, but actually beautifully choreographed. And because each page, there's something that disappears from the picture and then it reappears on the other side. It's very clever, but it's also really a beautiful message too.
Well, as you say, John, these girls have asked some amazing questions this afternoon.
They're the best interviewers.
Definitely. Is there anything else you'd like to ask?
I can see maybe a work desk behind you.
Yep. But no, it's that way. That way.
Yeah. And do you use that often? Do you use that is there a board to pin your ideas?
Yeah, there's a
on?
board there, and there's that piece of glass is right there. My finger's touching it. That's a piece of glass, so a light shows up behind it, so I can draw and take drawings and draw on top of them, and that messy chair there with that blanket. That's where my dog sits.
Oh.
Too bad she's not there. She's over there today. But hey, Charlotte, come. Do you want to see Charlotte? Charlotte, come here. Maybe we can end on this. Come on, go, good girl. Go. All right. Here's Charlotte.
Oh, no.
She's not very big.
Oh, she's so cute.
Charlotte, look at the camera.
Hello.
Hard to see her.
She's got a fringe like you, Annie.
A little bit like that, yeah, right. But no, this is coming to a good conclusion because I have to take her out. She has to go.
She has to go.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a real privilege to see your studio and listen to all your stories, and it's absolutely brilliant interviewing by Eve and Annie. So thank you so much, all of you, for being part of the Love Reading Lit Fest.
Yeah, it was so much fun. Thanks. Let's do it again sometime.
Definitely.
Bye everybody. Bye Eve. Bye Annie. Bye Joe.
Bye.
Bye.